Hello and welcome to Challenge the Build, and in today's review video I will be going over what I believe are the two most purchased, most reviewed large viewing auto darkening welding helmets within Amazon, and they are the Yeswelder LYG M800H and the Deko MZ232. In this review I will be going over some of the basic functions, styling characteristics, and overall features of each of the helmets. So let's challenge the build. So the first order of business is getting these helmets out of their boxes. And the first up is going to be the Deko MZ232. And I want to state also with this helmet, it may fall under a different part number. It also could possibly be the DNS 800S Super Viewing. And coming out of the box, oh, we already lost a battery coming out of the box. So we have a replacement battery. And we have the headgear that is going to be needing to be installed. So this should be fun. Always a pleasure installing headgear on a welding helmet. Little sarcasm there. It feels like there should be a pad back here. There's like a silicone gasket around the rear of the headgear. I kind of feel like there should be a pad back here, and there's not, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that. So that will be interesting to put on and see how comfortable that is. We have the user manual and what looks to be three. So we have three front replacement glass or lens replacements, and what appears to be a 4-sensor helmet. We have 2 up top, 2 right here above the charging bar for the lithium battery, the solar cell. So overall, a very nice helmet. It feels a little front heavy. So I think what I'm going to do is weigh these to compare the weight between the two. For some reason, this feels pretty heavy. So that is the Deko MZ232. Now up is the Yeswelder LYG M800H. And coming out of the bag, there is no packaging, but we get this cool black sock for the helmet. I opted for the American flag eagle design, and the nice thing about this helmet is the headgear is already attached, but I can say that because the headgear is attached, if you look at the back of the helmet, you can see that it is pushed in quite severely from the packaging. So it's going to take some time for that to kind of reset itself as it warms up and comes back to its normal size. So that will be interesting to see how that works with fit. And this one too has the replaceable CR2450 battery. And along with that, we have 2 front replacement lenses and 1 rear replacement lens. So kind of comparable between the two. Overall, styling, very similar. Obviously, the coloring and the designs vary. They have different designs that you can choose. The Yeswelder also too is a 4-sensor helmet. At each corner there is a sensor, and this one has 2 solar charging bars for the battery. So slightly different than the Deko, but there you have some of the differences. We are going to have to put the headgear on to demonstrate how that works, but overall, there are your helmets out of the box and what they look like. So surprisingly, installing the headgear was very straightforward and actually more simple than I've had in other helmets. Maybe it's just because I've done it multiple times now. What I can say in regards to the helmet, just like the Yeswelder, from being in the packaging, the helmets have been kind of pressed in a little bit, which makes this part of the helmet press in on either side of my head. Regarding the headgear itself, it's because of it pushing in on either side and there not being a lot of padding on the back of the headrest. On a scale of 1 to 10, as far as comfort, I would probably say it's only about a 5. It does fit after adjusting. What I can say is it does have to be relatively tight for it to not move on my head. And after reading some of the reviews, an issue with this helmet is because of how front heavy the shield is, it does not stay tight, or it does not stay up. It tends to loosen up and then wants to fall back down. So in order for that to be solved, you got to really crank down on the side knobs, and then that keeps it very difficult to nod and have it come down. So at that point, you're using it manually, up and down. So that is all I have to really say about that. As far as the Yeswelder, same kind of issue. Because of the packaging, the helmets have been pushed in. The difference with the Yeswelder helmet is there's padding on either side. You have the sweatband, and then on the back, you also have padding on the back as well. This one, on a scale of 1 to 10, as far as comfort, I would say it's probably about an 8. It would be a 10 if we didn't have the issue of the sides coming in. So I suspect that will go away as I use it and it kind of comes up to a normal temperature. It's kind of cold, so it's going to take some time for it to kind of revert back. As far as the adjustment, it does have a better adjustment. It does stay up in just normal side-to-side use, and with a quick little nod, it does come down to the proper height. So as far as use right out of the box and headgear, Yeswelder definitely ranks on top for that. This doesn't make it unusable, but just be prepared for a different style of adjustment and possibly the ability to just manually push it up and push it down. You may have better luck with the adjustment, but reading the reviews, there's similar reviews stating the same thing. So keep that in mind when you are looking at this one. So now what I thought would be interesting to do is I have a little scale here, and what I want to do is I'm going to weigh each individual helmet now that we have the headgear installed on this one. And I'm kind of curious, this one for some reason just feels really heavy. So I want to compare the two weights and see what we come up with. So right now the scale is zeroed out. So the Deko MZ232 comes in at 1 pound, 4.8 ounces. The Yeswelder LYG M800H comes in at 1 pound, 5.5 ounces. So surprisingly, even though this one feels really heavy, it is slightly lighter. That's interesting. This, for some reason, feels very heavy up in the front of the helmet. So I'm not exactly sure how that manages to be. This one just feels a little bit more balanced, maybe because of having some of the weight over here. If you look on the back of these helmets, this has the battery cell on the left side, and we have all these switches over here for the delays, the DIN settings for the shades, and the sensitivity, and then along with a welding, cutting, grinding switch. So there is a little bit of added weight on the side. However, the battery for this one is internal within the filter. And then in here, we have all of the adjustments for sensitivity, fade, the dim shade. And what I didn't know actually until I started putting the headgear in is this actually has a welding grinding switch right at the top that I did not see until just recently. So there is a switch for that. I can say in regards to the welding, grinding, cutting switches on either of these helmets, I have used Yeswelder's helmet in the past. I actually still use one to this day. And I do not use this option very much at all. It's one of them things where you would think you would use it a lot, and then when come time to use it, I find myself just opting for a normal face shield, something like this. This way here I can see a little bit more clearly, but they are a nice feature to have if you get in a jam or in a little pinch to where you need to switch it over, do your little grinding, do your little cutting, and then quickly get back to welding. All that I can say is once you switch it out of weld to a cut, make sure you switch it back before you start welding. I can't tell you how many times I went back to welding and forgot to switch it. So nice little feature for them quick little moments. But if you're going to do any extensive grinding or cutting, I highly recommend just getting a regular face shield and or safety glasses, or even both. So to wrap up this review, what I would like to do is focus on a few of the detailed specs regarding both of these helmets, starting with the actual viewing area of them. And starting with the Yeswelder, you get a 3.93 inch by 3.66 inch viewing area out of the filter. And for the Deko, you get a 3.86 inch by 3.15 inch viewing area. So slightly smaller, but not so much to where it's noticeable, I think. Next up is going to be the Optical Clasp for both of these helmets. The Optical Clasp, there is a lot of information out there regarding this category. And in short, the Optical Clasp is tied into the EN 379 standard. EN is short for European norm. And in order to qualify for an EN 379 rating, they go through 4 different categories. But those categories associate with numbers, 1 being the best, and I believe 3 being the worst. Again, this is just a general overview. If you need any more information, make sure you guys do your own due diligence regarding these numbers and what they mean. But for these two helmets, the Optical Clasp ratings are as follows. They carry a 1, 1, 1, 2 rating. And again, there's lots of information regarding that, so do your research. The light states when the welding helmet is at rest, I guess you could say. The light states is DIN 4. Now, DIN is the German industry standard for the shades of light, I guess, being transmitted. DIN 4 is kind of transparent, whereas the higher the number, the darker the shade is going to be. Now, the difference between these two helmets is because of the Yeswelder having the weld, cutting, and grinding switch on it, the Yeswelder has a variable states between 5 and 9 when it's in the grinding and cutting phase or in the mode, and then when it is in the welding mode, it is a variable from 9 to 13, whereas the Deko is only variable between 9 and 13. So keep that in mind for different things that you're going to be doing with your helmets. As far as the response time for both of these helmets, the response time is going to be how fast it transfers from a light shade to a dark shade. So the Yeswelder has an industry standard of less than 1 in 10,000ths of a second, whereas the Deko actually has a faster response time, and that is less than 1 in 25,000ths of a second. One of the differences between the two helmets is the Yeswelder has what they call a true color lens, whereas the Deko has their standard filter, which is going to have that green kind of tinge to it. As it states, true color. It's going to give you more of a true color behind the mask while welding. So clarity is going to be a little bit clearer, I think, with this one. And both of these helmets are ANSI certified with the Z87.1 standard, the EN379 standard, which we talked about earlier, and the Yeswelder has the CSA Z94.3 safety standard from the Canadian Safety Administration as well. So that concludes my review of the Yeswelder LYG M800H and the Deko DNS 800S Super Viewing. Hopefully I was able to clarify some of the differences between these two helmets, ultimately going over some of the basic styling and functions of them. If you are looking for any more information regarding each of these helmets, make sure you page through all of the product information within Amazon. Also, another great place to look is within all of the Amazon customer reviews regarding both of these helmets. Now all that's left for you to do is go out there and challenge your build. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in an upcoming video.